Hello. Oh, and nobody can see me. Why is that? There we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Tabletop Junkie, a tabletop review video. Only this is a little bit less of a review and more of you guys listening to me talk for about a few minutes because we're getting ready to jump into the new year. I mean, we're already in October. We've got October, November, and all the December, about 3 months left of the year. So I wanted to come and talk to you guys about Castles and Crusades. Unfortunately, tonight I don't really have anything major to really show you guys. So, I mean, yeah, kind of a bummer because I won't have anything, any props on the screen or anything like I normally do. But today I do want to talk about a few things tonight because we're getting into Castles and Crusades. First off, I'm going to give you guys a rough synopsis of Castles and Crusades. Um, just to, I guess get the feet wet real quick because I feel that this is actually in a very important video to get started because I'm actually started off with a different, I don't want to say a different version, but a different print of the game than what I have now. As you guys did, if you guys did not see my unboxing video, it is on my channel where I unboxed a brand new Castles and Crusades books that I did just buy from Troll Lord Games. I think it's been 2 weeks now, or at least it's been a week. Time is just ever eluding to me. So to get started, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of an excerpt here, and then I'm going to explain a few things. So, Castles and Crusades is a fantasy role-playing game published in 2004 by Troll Lord Games, based upon a stripped-down variant of the D20 system by Wizards of the Coast. The game system is designed to emulate the play of earlier editions of Dungeons and Dragons game while keeping the unified mechanics of the D20 system. That is a rough description. I would say actually it is the description of Castles and Crusades, that it is made to emulate the earlier versions. And I've actually played Castles and Crusades, and I agree fully with that statement. So the question is why are we here? Why am I doing the video tonight? Well, we're not going to do a review, but I do want to talk about a few things because I started off with different prints of the book. Or of the game, I should say, not of the book. Different prints of a game. I do have all the books that you see me unbox are 8th printing. I explained it in my unboxing video. The Player's Guide is 8th printing Player's Guide, 3rd printing Castle Keeper's Guide, and 5th printing of the Monster Manuals. Now, what does that mean by printing? Well, printing is kind of like a updated version, but it's not a newer edition. Castles and Crusades is still in 1st edition. They instead of doing new versions or anything, they just call them prints because they make minor changes between each of the books. And I've actually had the privilege of seeing some of the earlier prints of these books and was able to compare them to the newer versions. So as we cover each book, we are going to actually go through probably some of the differences. So I will probably have, because I do have the 7th printing book, which you can get from Troll Lord Games, and I'm going to actually check that again. I check it every time I do this, and I should actually put the link in my description. If you go to trolllordgames.com and you go to the game itself, the Player's Handbook 7th printing digital is free, but all they have is that they are actually out of print. I think they don't even have. Yes, it seems like they are out of print of the actual one, so you can't get a physical copy of the 7th printing, but you can of the 8th printing. And I did just check it up right now. So I mean, it is there for you to download, and it is still $0. So that is the one that I started off with to dive into Castles and Crusades. Now I have the 8th printing, and I actually seen the differences between the two printings. So there is a difference. Every book that they made so far between the Player's Guide, the Monster Manuals Guide, it's actually Player's Guide, Castle Keeper's Guide, and the Monster and Treasures Guide. They have different prints for. For instance, they have 8 different prints of the Player's Guide, where they have like 3 prints, I think, of the Castle Keeper's Guide and 5 prints of the Monster and Treasure Guide. But you always want the most updated stuff. And I'm going to also verify that. 8th printing of that, 5th printing of the Monster and Treasure, and 3rd printing of Castles of the Castle Keeper's Guide. Yep, I was right about that. So they didn't even. So it's not like if they did a second printing of the Player's Guide, did they do a second printing of the Castle Keeper's Guide eventually? But they didn't do each print. There's not 8 prints of each. There's one of each different one where they made minor changes. That's why they call them prints. And like I said, the changes are very, very minor. One of the examples of this is some of the information in the eighth printing of the Player's Guide is not in the 7th printing of the Player's Guide, but the information that they did add into the 8th did come from the 2nd printing of the Castle Keeper's Guide. So it seems like all they've done is made minor changes, did streamline very, very few rules, stuff you could probably write down on paper, and on top of matter, just move information around. Information didn't really change or get added to, it's just been moved around. So those three are the three processes I feel that they went through based on what I said, because like I said, some information is been changed a little bit less, some has been added, and then some has just been moved around. Like it was information added into other prints of the book, but was maybe either in a different page or in a different source book somewhere for Castles and Crusades. To go more in about this, in future videos, we will be actually looking at the differences that's been made between each one, as well as me doing a review on each of these prints. My very first review will be of the 7th printing, so we do have that going. Other than that, there are I believe there are some books that have been printed up a few years ago and actually are still in the first print. There was not another print made of them either. So we have your main core books that went through. Only very few of them went through. You have your 3 core books that did go through some printings, but each different numbers. Like 8. 8. 3 and 5, so they're not all lined up in the same. It's only when information needs to be moved from one book to another. And if it was taken from one book to another, then they made another printing of that same book. So, for instance, the information I'm referring to from the second printing Castle Keeper's Guide went into the 8th printing, so they made a 3rd printing of the Castle Keeper's Guide to take that information out. So like I said, information may have been streamlined, maybe some added, and some has been moved around. All very minor changes. Nothing has been drastically changed. It's not like the difference between the 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons and 3 or 3.5 or 3.5 and 4 in 4th edition to 5th edition. It's not been anything major changes like that. So I can't really go explain it or dull it down any more than what I've already had. So basically, we will, as I'm doing these reviews, we will have to go through that. Right now, as I stated, the group of the books go like this: the 8th printing of the Player's Guide, the 3rd printing of the Castle Keeper's Guide, and the 5th printing of the Master and Treasurer's Guide. So when 7th printing Player's Guide was out, I think most people were still using the 2nd printing of the Castle Keepers and the 4th of the Monster and Treasure. So yes, that is the difference between the printings and editions. Printings, like I said, it's information that has been either just streamlined, minor added, or just moved around. Honestly, those are the 3 processes I've seen. No information has been really removed. So yeah. Sorry, I've been talking for almost 10 straight minutes, so I need something to drink. Alright, so with that said, now you do know the difference that we are operating with the same 1st edition. It's all 1st edition. It's just when we talk about prints, we've only talked about minor changes that are being made. And this is one video I just wanted to touch on because starting on my next video, we will be going over the 7th printing Player's Guide, and then after that, we will go to the 8th printing Player's Guide. So, and we will be discussing and possibly in a separate video, we will be discussing the differences that were made. So I don't really have much else planned tonight. I don't think so. I think, I think that is it for tonight. Let me see. We went over the difference of printing and difference between editions and printing and what Castles and Crusades is. So I think we hit everything. Yes, I know I'm just probably talking to the void, but that's okay. Um, so given this small introductory course, just to let everyone know about it, this is one of the biggest things that I do like about Castles and Crusades. One of the biggest things about it is just only minor changes have been made, and it's just very easy to go from one print of the book to the next. A little bit different than going from one edition to the next edition versus in other games. Alright, so going up in the near future, we do have reviews in Castles and Crusades. The reason why I'm doing the reviews earlier than next year, because I do know that I did say the next reviews will not come up before next year. Well, unfortunately, plans have been changed and moved up a little bit into this year, as that I do have a Castles and Crusades actual play that we will be actually doing with a group of players. I'm not sure quite 110% how we're going to do that yet. If we're going to go through my OBS system, which is the recording system that I use now is OBS, or if we'll go back to StreamYards. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure how we're going to do this quite yet. I have to basically sit down and do some thinking and figure out what we can do, because there is some ideas that I've been tossing around, but nothing has been definitive yet, as that I'm still doing the Star Trek actual play on Wednesday nights, and we will be migrating from that once that wraps up. Migrating from that, moving on to Castles and Crusades and Cyberpunk. So starting off in the near future, we do have other reviews and actual plays that will be done. So right now, this stream was just an introductory course to Castles and Crusades to release more of these videos. Alright, so that is everything I have for you guys tonight. I would like to wish everyone a great, wonderful night. I hope this video was very informative. I do apologize if it isn't, but we will actually dive a bit more into the examples by the next video. Excuse me, I am sorry for the long pause. It's been a long day. But as I stated, we will be diving into these reviews and we will go straight from there. Alright, so with that being said, everyone, work hard, game hard, play hard. Game on, everybody. This is Tabletop Junkie giving his famous tabletop salute. Have a great and wonderful night.